Sorry, and I'm here playing Medieval Resurrection. Which I'm actually super glad is actually on console now. For the first time ever.
There was a kingdom called Galilee. A land where the people were happy, war was unknown, the children were polite and helpful at all times, and not just when mooching for chocolate. The monarch of the realm, King Peregrine, was wise and just and, all in all, a bit of a decent chap. In bonnets, he was an enlightened ruler. But he had among his retinue an official court magician, a brilliant but unscrupulous man by the name of Zadok. Instead of confining himself to the horoscopes and balloon animals for which he was employed, Zadok began to conduct horrific experiments on the bodies of the dead. Of course, people often get quite sensitive about their deceased loved ones, so it wasn't long before the king found out and had the sorcerer banished from the land. Zadok skulked away into the wilderness and busied himself by perfecting his experiments, seething with rage and practicing his diabolical evil laugh. At last, with an army of demons at his command, he set off to bring Galilee under his foul dominion. The captain of the royal guard, Sir Daniel Fortescue, led the militia into battle against this unholy horde. Songs are sung to this day of how he spearheaded the charge deep into the accursed multitude, how the invaders fell before him like wheat before the scythe, and how at last, though mortally wounded, he fell upon the infernal sorcerer and destroyed him utterly. True, these songs don't have particularly catchy choruses, but people cared less about chart success in those days. And so it was that Daniel Fortescue
I think it was watching, I appreciate you.
The hero of Galilee. And there came upon the land a time of peace, harmony, and quality wines at affordable prices. The tranquility was to last for 100 years. But then the sorcerer returned.
I always remember the laugh that's coming. A good one. And not quite 1990. More like 2004. This was originally a PSP game. They just recently brought it to consoles with the as a classic game. See, in 1998, and it was a platformer for PS1. And it was really well regarded. It's like basically Tim Burton made a platformer. And then when the PSP launched, they decided to remake that game for PSP, and you got Medieval Resurrection. Let me make sure. And up until now, the only way to play this game was on PSP. So they just recently this month brought it over to PS4 and PS5 for $10. And I'm a really big fan of Medieval. It's actually funny because they basically wound up remaking this twice, but in different ways. Because they actually have a PS4 version of this that was a remake, and you might think that that would make this obsolete, but it doesn't. Because, like, Medieval remake on PS4 and by Extension 5 is like Resident Evil 1 remake. Same game, much better graphics, better mechanics. This Medieval Resurrection is like Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake, a reimagining of the story. So, totally different levels, totally different characters, shit like that.
Found it.
And the pre-rendered cutscenes look kind of shitty, because they are made for a fucking PSP. But the rest of the game looks really good. I think that, like, stylistically, PS2 games and GameCube games and Xbox games have aged very well. Because they weren't trying to... They weren't trying to... go for photorealism, if that makes sense. Like... Yeah, you can pause it and rewind it. One of the benefits of PS5 emulation of classic games. Like, I think that the PS2, Xbox, GameCube generation by extension PSP is one of the best eras that has held up visually over time, because PS1, they were kind of getting a grip on making 3D at all. It was like new, so a lot of those games don't look that good now. And with like PS3, they were trying to go for photorealism, and while it looked great for the time, a lot of PS3 games now look like shit. But with PS2, Xbox, GameCube, yada yada yada, they weren't going for photorealism. They were going for like stylist and artistic, and they had enough hardware power and enough know-how with 3D to make it. And that's why, like, I think a lot of GameCube games still look fucking great to this day. You know, like Twilight Princess, PS2 games, like a lot of them hold up really well. Another thing I really enjoy about this game is the remake actually has Tom Baker as the narrator. He's one of the most famous Doctor Who's. And he's pretty big in Britain, so them actually getting him to narrate the game was a pretty big deal at the time. This is like the only game he ever did. You may or may not be familiar with Doctor Who, so I'll just say that Tom Baker is... he played the Fourth. He's the one with the big silly hat and the huge fucking scarf. Just like an enormous scarf and like a trench coat. He was before the new run of the show. Like, he was one of the original Doctors back in the 80s, but that was his whole thing. He wore a giant red scarf, a big fedora, and a big-ass fucking coat. Here, let me see what you're... Let me get my phone up so I can see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, for most people, he is the most famous Doctor. Up there, you know, obviously David Tennant is up there, but, you know, he was the most loved of the old ones, and they based a lot of the new Doctors off him. And he was renowned for having a very awesome voice. Like, he did a lot of narration work because his voice is very smooth and velvety. And he's pretty popular in America, but in Britain, in the UK, he's a fucking legend. And they got him to narrate this entire game, and then later on, he actually plays Death. And he's fucking hilarious. And you know me, I fucking love platformers, and I love dark gothic stuff, so... And I mean, that's pretty much the pitch for Medieval, is what if Tim Burton made a platformer? It's dark and gothic and Halloween-y. And like I said, up until this time, the only way to play this game has been on PSP. So I'm really happy.
The best place to go if you're looking for a dead dad.
See, his voice is just soothing.
You, Fortescue! At last! Come, get up! We got things to do! Hey! Easy, my friend. In my culture, we treat the guests with courtesy, especially if they stop by for 100 years. Who am I? My friend, you should feel honored.
See, the way this story is set up, you're Sir Daniel Fortescue, or Sir Dan, and he was a storyteller that the king liked. And then the Zarok, the necromancer, came, and he was forced to battle for the king, but he had no experience in battle. So he died in like the very first battle. He stepped onto the field and an arrow went in his eye and killed him. But the hero, the king, not wanting to be embarrassed, just made up all this fucking bullshit about him being a super duper hero and him killing them all, and before he died. So there's this whole legend about him being amazing, but he wasn't actually. And like I said, it's not really his fault, because he was this fucking storyteller. The king is like, hey, go out and battle for me. And he, all this stuff happened. Like, the king told the story after he died. It's not like he's sitting there boasting. But, so it's like, he now has to go out and stop Zarok for real.
Usually the corpses, their skulls are filled with just the worms. Instead, you get I, Al-Zalam, glorious genie of the Sultan Prince Razin the Rival, noble protector of... You doubt me? I see it in your eye. Well, it is true. With genies, usually we are trapped within the lamps. That is bad. Very oily for the skin. But far worse, let me tell you, is when evil sorcerer tricks you, traps you inside skull of cowardly knight. Oh, the smell! It is mustier than the Saracen's jockstrap. You imply that I lie. In my culture, that would earn you 50 strokes of the cut. And we are allergic to cuts. So that is a terrible punishment. But fine, if you're too busy with the being dead, we just sit back and watch Zarok destroy Gallowmere once more. Oh, you remember Zarok at least? Yes, that madman is back from the exile. He has mastered the dark magics, has been waking the dead, turning good men evil. He turns this land bad quicker than a tub of yak's cheese next to warm radiator. Why you back among the living? His magic? Or perhaps fate? Fate gives you chance.
Him trying to become a fucking hero for real.
Make amends for your cowardly death, eh? Yes, I was there that fateful day. I saw you hanging back, pretending to tie your bootlaces, and getting hit by first stray arrow. Never believe in publicity. You just big coward, buried as big hero with poor genie still trapped inside his head.
Well, like I said, this was like 2004, so the actual game looks a lot better.
You are a tough guy, deep down. We can work with them. I will be glad. Maybe this...
Like I said, all these cutscenes look like shit because they were originally made for the tiny aspect ratio of the PSP, but the actual game looks a lot better.
His men killed you. His magic cursed me. Together, we squash that creepy cockroach. Free me. Turn you into a real hero, eh?
Well. He's back. Old Sir Daniel Fortescue, the hero of Gallowmere, rendered eyeless and lifeless by the first arrow. rendered heroic by the mists of time. It's amazing what good PR can do. Now the fickle finger of fate has given him a second chance. A chance to make good his ignoble past. A chance to defeat Zarok and live up to the legend. If I had any breath, I wouldn't be holding it. Anyway, many of my stony kind reside in Gallowmere. We may be welcome with a gentle nudge, not with a kiss. Please, don't try the kissing thing. We don't have affectionate natures.
See, like, the actual game looks a lot better. Because, like, the polygons and shit can actually be moved up to the screen. It's just like the cutscenes, when they're rendered. That's it.
Well, he's back. Old Sir Daniel Fortescue, the hero of Gallowmere, rendered
Okay.
You got to study. I never had you down as a reader. You use a monocle, right? Ah, a training room, eh? Nice decor. A little cold. Oh, mind the lava done. Cremation's not your style, I think. That is a rune key, Dan. Place it in the claw of the rune gate and open sesame!
So, you're set on finding Zarok. The monster, as he likes us to call him, leaves a sulphurous green ether as he passes through the land. Seek out this wicked trail, and you may be sure you're on the right track.
Ah, a beautiful map of Gallowmere. This will help us get around the realm.
The
The
graveyard.
graveyard. Oh.
You wouldn't catch me digging graves in my yard. Spoils the ambience.
See, shit like that is just awesome. You wouldn't catch me digging graves in my yard.
Is very close by. Maybe at Cemetery Hill, which lies just beyond this graveyard. Ah, real shiny, stabby sword. Let's try it out.
Welcome back to Gallowmere, Daniel. The stinking dead have risen up to dance with the lifeless living. Have courage. These are truly strange and terrifying times. Blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Now get out of here. You're blocking my view.
Oh, that's right, I gotta find a hammer. Forgot about that.
A cloud! Huh, you can light it, or hey, maybe just scrub stuff real hard. These fountains give health, but like goat's milk at bachelor party, they don't last forever. Hello, stranger! What can I sell you today? A nice bit of schmatter?
In each level, you have to kill a certain amount of enemies, and when you kill a certain amount of enemies, like all of them, you find the chalice, and then you get to go to the Hall of Heroes and get a bonus item, and there's some of the best weapons in the game, so it encourages you to strongly finish each level.
Beyond these gates lies the exit to this cemetery, but the gates are locked. You didn't think you'd just breeze on through here, did you? You did? Ha! Oh, my aching sides, ha! Guess again, cranium face. The dreaded glass demon, Lord of the Hilltop Mausoleum, has the key. Go ask him for it, you sap. Evil alert! Evil alert! Zarek's beyond these gates, meeting with the demon from the mausoleum, hatching evil plots, and generally being naughty. If I were a failed one-eyed warrior, I'd make myself scarce, mate.
Okay. Hall of Heroes.
Where they feast and make merry unto eternity. Yes, even on a school night.
Welcome, O undernourished one, to the Hall of Heroes, where the bravest warriors from history spend eternity feasting, arm wrestling, and singing out of tune. If they think you're worthy, you may be able to persuade them to give you a new weapon. In your case, you'll be lucky to walk away with a spud gun. Now move it, Twiggy.
Captain Fortescue, does the battle go well? A temperate setback, I'm sure, sire. Gosh, they were merry times, slapping our thighs down in beakers of bitter shandy, and the battles, ooh, they were fun too. How I wish I could help you in some way now. But who? Oh, you could take my crossbow. I used it at the Battle of Gallowmere. After you were slain, I shot Zarok's champion, Lord Cardok, a clean kill, sir, right through the eye at some 300 yards. Not that there's anything clever about shooting someone in the eye, sir.
Not that there's anything clever about shooting someone in the eye, sir.
Cemetery Hill, an excellent name for a blues singer.
Oh, no. You're back. Looking like something from a butcher's dustbin. Oh, what's that smell? Oh, decomposition? Well, you're too late anyway. My army has already risen from the grave. Still, never mind, eh? Chalk it up as yet another of your inglorious failures. I really need to work on that mocking laugh.
Looks looser than the bowels of a man in a sleeping bag full of scorpions. A spade in a cemetery. I sense great logic at work. A witch's talisman. Used near a bubbling cauldron to summon a witchy.
Ah, you dick.
Greetings, stranger. Now, what can I do for you?
Sweet, got the chalice. And it's 100% full.
Some rolling blocks look crumbling. Maybe try whacking them.
Merry unto eternity. Yes, even on a spoon night.
Fortescue! What's this I hear? That arch-cad Zarok still alive? Thought you killed the fella. Never mind, my old war horse. Happens to the best of us. Think you've slaughtered a chap, but up he pops again. Crushed limbs, flattering like cheap flags, but otherwise perfectly chipper. Or is that just me? What? Anyway, I expect Johnny Zombie's a bit more of a handful than you remember. How you doing for weapons, old man? Tell you what, take my old warhammer. It's no bother. In 2 centuries, all I've used it for is putting up shelving.
Yeah, it's like a permanent club. You still occasionally have to use a club for torches, but from that point forward, you have the club. Hilltop Mausoleum.
Dan's Crypt. The best place to go if you're looking for a dead Dan.
You got to study. I never had you down as a reader. You use a monocle, right? A training room, eh? Nice decor. Early macabre. Oh, mind the lava, Dan. Cremation's not your style, I think. That is a rune key, Dan. Place it in the claw of the rune gate and open sesame! Do you think Zarok is taking a breather? No, I don't think so.
Wow, that's actually...
What? Suddenly I can do no jokes. Oi, move it, lazy bones. We've got a realm to save.
The Hall of Heroes, where heroes are allowed to store their umbrellas and raincoats.
Fortescue, you joyless arrow magnet. What are you doing in a Hall of Heroes?
God, please forgive me for my sins and deals near them.
How I pity the people of
God,
Galloway.
please doing my sins and deals.
Oh, that their fate should be in the hands of a vacuum-headed chip like you. Still, I suppose it's not fair to take it out on them. Take my longsword and try not to stab yourself in the foot. You know, I've always had my doubts about you, Fortescue. You're simply not carved from pure material.
The Hilltop Mausoleum. Think of it as a kind of pet shop, but with less fragrant purchasing choices.
Oh, damn, Daniel Dunnekins. You are so persistent, I'll give you that. But then so are beggars' babies. And I trample those underfoot, too. Look, you really must get it into your thick, exposed cranium. You cannot stop me from conquering Gallowmere. Already I have transformed the populace into servile zombies and drained the sunlight from the skies, withering many a tomato plant in the process. How could a spindly monovisual carcass like you reverse the momentum of such an epic master plan? And see where your stubbornness has got you. Do you see? You're trapped forever in this necropolis. Still, you could always discuss your predicament with my good friend up there. I'm sure he'd do his best to help you. Sadly, I can't hang about to listen to the musical twang of your tendons. My army is amassed, and it will not be long before my scouts locate the demon claw that will unlock my beloved Shadow. I must return home to oversee the invasion of this pathetic realm, and possibly take a power nap.
Beware, imps are sticky-fingered thieves. Trust me, we can spot our own.
Oh, those bastards.
The floor is collapsing! Run! Run! Get out quick!
Fuck.